What's good? What's good? Where we at? What are we doing?
My name's Tim Nguyen. This is BSP Garage. My name is Tim Nguyen, and I represent BSP Garage.
What does BSP stand for again?
Oh, Blue Stool Performance. The name started off because we started off building on the little Asian blue stool chair. It was just the best chair to build on. It had a hole in the middle so the crank could fit in there when the engines were sideways. But what started off about last December, this is what it's built up to now. Bunch of drag bikes. Didn't think it was gonna get like this. It started off with these two bikes here, more cruiser style bikes, and then it turned into basically all of these minus a couple that are friends bikes. So the first ones that we got were actually this Mega Moto 212 and this Mega Moto 80 right here. These two were sitting in my homie Ray's storage unit. I think he had them since like around COVID. I think that's when he bought them. So they were sitting in there for probably, what was that, like 4 years since COVID's happened. But I seen them in his storage unit, and every time we would go up there, I just beg him like, hey, come on, let's bring them out. Let's see what's up with them. Let's see what's up with them. And then one day, probably after asking for 3 months, one day he finally brought this one over here. Started messing with this one, and then probably a month after that, he brought this one over here. And then for probably a couple months, it was only these two bikes. And then after that, we started trying out new frames, started trying out new parts. And then when you start building more and more engines, you gotta buy frames for those engines. So after a little bit more time, it kind of just built up to a bunch of bikes. And then this is what's transformed into BSP Garage.
At what point with your first bike were you like, did you hear about GoPowerSports?
Man, so it was probably about 2 weeks in. After we took this one out, we was trying to do a governor delete on it, and then a push rod fell out from the bottom when we had the cam out and the push rod fell out, and then we just didn't know what to do after that. Like the YouTube videos weren't really helping, we weren't figuring it out. At that point, we kind of had zero experience with, no, not kind of, we had zero experience with the mini bikes. So we went to GoPowerSports and we bought this Tillotson 225 motor. I'm pretty sure, yeah, that's the first thing that we bought from GoPowerSports. We went up there. So I was cruising this with like, Ray would be riding like a DRZ, and then we just kind of, within like, I would say like 10 miles, just cruise around. But with that, you just want to keep getting faster and faster. So we got that 225, did like a carburetor on it, did an exhaust on it, did a cam, just little simple stuff, nothing too serious. And then after that, brought this Mega Moto 80 over here, and this one at the time it had a 212 on it, but that motor runs good. It's actually, that's the motor that's actually on this red Rascal now. But now this motor, it has this bike, it has a 236 on it now. Racers Pro Equip setup. It was actually the first 236 that was built over here. That's also the only 236 that has not been fired up over here. Yeah, no, that one's been chilling. And then after that, I had bought a taco frame. That frame was cool. It kind of just taught me how to work on the mini bikes more, and that's when we started going out to Brush Creek at the time when everyone would still go out there and race. So just being around other people racing mini bikes, you just want to get faster and faster. Like you want to go out there and be competitive. That's the fun aspect for us, is like going out there and just seeing who's faster, seeing who can win. I rode that frame for probably 3 months or so, and then I ended up selling that frame once I started getting into more power. Those frames are good. I just wanted something a little bit more stable. And after that, I got a Rascal GT, and then all in the mix though, like little bikes were popping up, like bikes that weren't getting finished. So like say like the Doodlebug or like that MotoVox, this GT. But we were really just focused on, at the time I had a red Rascal GT, we were just focused on getting that one going for the 660. But that one was in the 76 mil class, the GPS 660. It was cool. I learned a lot from that event. Definitely wasn't the fastest, definitely wasn't the slowest, thank God. But yeah. So there's quite a few bikes in here. It's kind of like a mostly drag inspired builds, I would say. We start off with the little Rascal. This is actually from y'all GoPowerSports, but this one's a pretty simple 70 mil setup, M5 built motor, nice little powder coat, nothing too serious. It's pretty simple. It's more of like something that we threw together with just parts that we had sitting around. A little frame like this, you don't really want to make it too fast. Gets a little sketchy on the top end, but other than that, it's just something pretty, something to look at, something reliable. Next over here we have, this is Braden's bike actually. This is actually a bike that he built for the
basically I think the frame and everything, besides the stretch, I know he bought it with the stretch, but this is a 3-inch bike. It's a setup for the 660.
Was it at the last last 660?
Yeah, he raced at the last 660. I'm not too sure how he did. I was also racing out there, so I was kind of just not keeping track of everybody.
Yeah, you got other stuff to worry about.
Yeah, this bike is pretty good setup. Billet head. I'm pretty sure he bought the head from you guys as well. Yeah, simple drag build, live axle setup. Basically, just what you need. Nothing extra on this one.
Mm-hmm.
Then after that, we got this Doodlebug that we've been building. I just like it because it's yellow.
Mm-hmm.
I think the yellow is cool. The Doodlebug is cool. We've transferred over basically for the BSP bikes. They're all Doodlebug frames now. This one's a 70 mil. This is really a cruiser bike, but it's kind of got the drag aspect to it. Like I said, most of our bikes are kind of drag inspired.
Mm-hmm.
So this one's also a 70 mil setup. It has the Metal Fab Creations stretch on it, the gussets, the handlebars. The handlebars turned out real nice.
Who made those?
So these are from Metal Fab Creation.
Oh,
I think that's Bobby Hammond.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure. But
those look good on there.
yeah, I think that the bars bring this bike together really well. And then it's got like the 10-inch billet front wheel. Other than that, it's still in the process. It should be pretty good when it's done. Nothing too crazy. Another 70 mil bike. And then this is the main Doodlebug that we race. Typically, this bike has this 3-inch motor on it. Recently, I built this 70 mil motor. It's basically a maxed out 70 mil, so it has a big crank in it and stuff. GoPowerSports Stage 5 head, big belly racing, M5 carb, small engine cams cam in. Everything's off the shelf on this motor, nothing custom, but it runs pretty good. I built it to race with the cruisers. So this one is the one that I've been working on recently. This frame actually came from Bobby at STL Motorsports. This one's a GX390 with a studs racing head on it. It has all the goodies on the internals, all the billet stuff, billet flywheel. It has the Metal Fab Creations rear back half.
Bobby from STL, that's the, I think I did a video with it. Yeah, I did do a video.
Robinson,
yep.
I think that's his name.
Yeah, I did a video with him too.
He's the one that this came from. I actually bought this, like, when he came down for the 660, he brought this bike with him, sold it to us. He came down like 2 or 3 days before the 660 so we could get the bike ready, but it was just too much to get ready. Like, we already had a couple other bikes we were focused on. Mm-hmm. So we're slowly getting this one together. Probably have it out within the next couple weeks to test, and then we'll be ready for whatever action comes this way.
Nice.
Then come down to this side. So this is John's bike. It's another MotoVox that they did. It's a 3-inch setup, billet head, bully bike. John did all the fabrication on it himself, which is, he does the fabrication on most of our bikes as well. Like, he did some work on Braden's bike, and then he also did the fabrication on my Doodlebug frame that I race. But yeah, this one's pretty simple setup as well. Pretty similar to Braden's bike, besides I think this bike is a little bit lighter than Braden's bike if I'm not mistaken, and then it's just, I think a little bit on the engines are a little bit different, but they're pretty similar. Braden built both of these engines on both of these bikes. And then this MotoVox, this one's just been sitting. This one's also going to be a big block bike. I'm not sure where this bike came from or who built it, but they did a really good job on the frame. It's a little different. This one's going to be on the junior dragster torque converter setup. It has some wheelie bars for it that came with the bike when we purchased it. And I don't know, I just like it. It looks pretty slick, low, nothing too crazy, but it's a wheelie bar bike, so we can put like a junior dragster setup on it and see how it does. This is Martin's bike. This is a Coleman. He actually bought this bike as is from the homie Frank. And then we sold this bike to Frank probably, I would say like 3 months ago. And then Frank built it up and then sold it to Martin. But this is a Coleman. It has a custom back half on it, kind of, that's just widened out. And then it has a live axle on it, which is pretty uncommon for this style frame, I would say. The seats on it is from JBC.
I was going to say that looks like a JBC right there.
Yeah, man, we used to have a couple more of those, but all the GTSs that we had are gone now.
Mm-hmm.
But like, yeah, no, that's a JBC. So that one's, this is a really good seat. They're good seats. And then the quality of them is just there. And then they're very pocket friendly for what you're buying. For like, I would compare that to like a girl buying a purse.
Yeah. Like
when you buy a designer style seat like that.
Yeah.
But this one, it just has a Tillotson 212 on it. It's also built like a, I'm not really too familiar with the stages, but it has the billet rod, the billet flywheel, flat top piston. That one has a GoPowerSports Stage 500 head on it as well. And then like a VM26 carb. So some roller rockers probably. So pretty simple setup, I would say. All off the shelf parts, nothing custom. But definitely a ripper. These are actually the bikes that got us into mini bikes to begin with. We don't really ride these too often anymore because we kind of moved over to the drag stuff, but they're never gonna leave. These aren't gonna go anywhere. This is a Mega Moto 80. This one actually has a 236 on it that we haven't fired up or actually done anything with. This frame, we've been having chain problems with it, so it's just kind of been sitting, but it's like a stretched Mega Moto 80. Front suspension setup, has some handlebars, has lights. It was kind of, these are really just street cruiser bikes, something you can hop on and ride around the neighborhood and not get hassled. Not too loud, not too crazy. And then next to that, this is a Mega Moto 212. This is actually the first mini bike that I started working on, but this bike, we pulled it out of our homie's storage unit, and from there, we kind of just started doing little things. Pretty solid.
I know, like, yeah, a lot of people go for the 80s or the 212 frames, and yeah, they're good cruiser bikes.
Yeah, and then I would say they're pretty versatile frames, especially like the 80. This is something you can build as a cruiser, or if you want, you can buy the suspension kit for it and take it like a little bit on like the off-road side if you want, or you can buy the stretch tabs for it and then make it into like a drag bike, which is like pretty cool about them. Like if y'all have seen like Israel and Blanca's pink one, that one's pretty fast, built into a drag frame. Or like if you look at like the one that Devin had that had the full suspension on it, that's like a cruiser slash you can take it on the trails if you want, which is like pretty cool frame, because there's not a lot of frames out there that you can be that versatile with. And then I would say the 212s, a little bit heavy on the drag side, but extremely comfortable frames, like because they got the wider seat. That's at first, when I first got into mini bikes, that's the only thing I would ride because it was just comfortable.
Yep, and that's the same with me. I was the same way. I like the 212 just because it was such a good cruiser bike.
Yeah. Once I started getting into the drag stuff, they kind of just started to sit, but every once in a while we'll turn them on, just cruise them around the neighborhood. Reliable bikes.
Who would you say your biggest influences are, and not just like watching, but like who's been helping you out a lot when it comes to the drag racing stuff?
Man, so when I first got into the drag racing, I would say a big help of it would be Braden for sure. Braden helped us, kind of point us in the right direction. John, I definitely have to give John a shout out. He does all of our fabrication work for us. Good homie hookups and stuff, you know, like no payment, no nothing. He just does it for the joy of it. For the racing stuff, I would say definitely a shout out to Johnny Berry with that motor, and then he kind of pointed us in the direction of how to get it running real good. Andrew Shaw, so I actually met him at the 660. We're actually pretty good friends now. Kind of crazy how you can just meet someone at a racetrack, talk to him for a day or two, and then after that we talk like every day. We have some type of contact on social media, or someone has a question about something, give each other a call, even though he's like 1,000 miles away. A lot of like the inspiration though, I would say would come from the Cali people. Even though the Cali people don't really do much 8th mile racing, they do more quarter-mile racing or like top speed runs. I would definitely say like just looking at their bikes, because out in that area there's a lot more abundancy of mini bikes, so you get to see a lot more builds and like see how you can be creative with them and see which direction you want to go with the bike. Around here, I would say the faster bikes that I seen at first would definitely be like C4, Israel and Blanca. Dap Williams has definitely pointed us in a good direction with the mini bike stuff as well. He lives far away too. He lives out in Louisiana, but when there's racing going on, he's always hitting the phone and trying to figure out what's going on, trying to give us some pointers, which is greatly appreciated. Definitely the homie Martin. This bike's actually his. He's more of a cruiser guy, but he's always good to have around because he has a really positive mindset. So when things aren't going your way, you always gotta have someone around like that to kind of help smoothen out the time, smooth out the emotions in the room when you're trying to get stuff together.
Where would you like to see mini bike racing go? Because I know a lot of it right now is everybody's kind of doing their own thing. Do you see that there is a future in this sport?
Yeah, no, I definitely see the last 660 that I went to was my first one I went to, and I thought that was an amazing turnout. But from what I heard, the one before that was maybe I think like a quarter or half of the people. So from what I think, next year it's probably gonna be double what it was this last year, just because like on social media, like Facebook forums and stuff like that, there's just a lot more people getting interested in the like strictly drag racing the mini bikes. I would like to see the mini bike drag racing on more tracks, I would say, because out here right now I think the only track that we're mainly allowed to run on is Yellow Belly, which amazing track, there's no problem with that, but it'd be nice to like be able to go out to like XRP or like NS Raceway, something that's like a little bit more smooth and maybe a little bit less chaotic when you're trying to go out there and test. Yellow Bellies, go out there, you're stepping into a party. You're gonna have a good time out there, but sometimes when you want to be a little bit more serious, you want a little bit chiller environment, I would say.
What do you usually do with the mini bikes around here when you're not drag racing and stuff? Do you do a lot of cruising?
I don't, bro.
You don't?
So I honestly don't do any of the mini bike cruising because we got the four-wheeler. Like,
Oh, yeah.
like I'll go ride with the mini bike guys on the four-wheeler. It's still fun. I just really don't have any cruisers that I want to ride like all day. Like that's really all it is. Like when I first got into the mini bikes, this is where I would take out to all the ride outs. And shout out to Israel for hosting all the rides. He be getting good amount of the mini bike people out in the city, out on the east side. Good route. It's like I like the route that he takes everyone on. But I used to take this one out all the time for probably like 3 months. Every weekend we were going out. And then eventually, once we started moving into the drag racing stuff, it was like on the weekends, instead of going out cruising, it was like, all right, we're in the garage working on a bike to go make a pass like at the test road or go out to the Yellow Belly or something like that.
Would you ever think about doing something like the 180 or anything?
Man, so I would like to do the 180. I personally don't have a bike built for the 180, and then I don't really plan on doing it. But the good thing about that is I got a couple of friends that they've been trying to build bikes all year for the 180. So I'll probably make my way out there and give me a little joyride on one of their bikes. But the 180 is definitely an event that I want to check out, just because with the drag racing stuff, you work on the bike all day and you get about 8 seconds of fun. With the off-roading stuff, maybe you work on the bike all day, but hopefully you get all day worth of fun. You're out there riding and enjoying yourself. I just haven't gotten to the point where I want to build a bike for that, but I know like C4, our homie Brian, I want to say Frank, all of them have 180 bikes that are set up, like pretty nice 180 bikes too, not like full suspension builds, nice motors, like every piece that you can get for them they have. So maybe I'll get lucky enough to hop on one of their bikes out there and do a lap or two and see what I can do.
If you had to build a team to build a mini bike for like the 660,
man, so
like
if I'm
talking frame, engine builder, rider, jockey.
Okay, so if I were to build, I guess you could call this your dream spec 660 build, I would personally go with a Chris Byron frame. I believe that's what they are. If I'm not mistaken, that's what SLR runs. I'm a big fan of those frames. Or there's a frame that I believe his name is Brad Mosley. It's a taco style frame that's more of like a drag style frame. I'm really into those type of frames. I just like more simple frames, nothing too crazy. For the engine, I would have to go with Johnny Berry. He's done us right with that 236 right there. His communication is good. When you treat him good, he treats you good, and he's pretty fast with the response, which is like that's a big part of it too. When you're like, we say it's a night before a race or a couple hours before the race, you have a question if you should do something. It's always good to have a builder that's willing to work with you and like sees the big picture of like, oh, the race is going down, they might need a little help, like yada yada, which it's a big help though. It's good to have someone like that on your team. So as a jockey, man, so shout out to the four-wheelers and dirt bikes, but ever since I started riding those, I got locked in with a lot of like the Puerto Rican and Mexican people that be riding the dirt bikes and four-wheelers. I would definitely get a jockey that's one of those guys, because they can handle those bikes. They could definitely ride something like this. And me personally, I like having a jockey that's not too big into the mini bikes. You don't know too many people. They're not out there talking trash. They're just there to ride the bike, and that's all. Like that's what I'm into.
Are you gonna race yourself at the 660?
No, definitely. I'm too heavy for that. If you're coming out to the 660 and you weigh, I would say if you weigh over 140 to 150, go ahead and load it up. Like, go ahead and
but
just load it up.
We have a big boy class this year.
Okay, if there's a big boy class this year, I'll definitely race the big boy class because if I'm not mistaken, I think it's a 200 weight low, like a minimum. I'm like right there, so that would be great. Last year they didn't have a heavyweight class. I still raced it because at the time, or still now, if you're putting this much time and effort into building something and testing it and stuff, I like to use it myself because I think that's where the joy comes from. But for events like the 660 or like big drag racing events, I learned from the last 660, just put a jockey on it. It doesn't matter how, like, even though you want to race it, if you want to be competitive and move through the rounds and see how far you can really go, you definitely need like a jockey that's under 115 pounds, in my opinion. 100 pounds is good. Once you get too light though, that's when the bike might get a little sketchy. But I feel like all good jockeys are they're between like the 90 to 110, 115 pound weight.
I mean, I see you got a bunch of engines sitting back there. What's going on back there?
Alright, so this is actually a 660 spec motor. This is a Johnny Berry laid back racing motor. Actually, this motor was racing at the 660 with Johnny Berry on Joshua Arch's bike. I believe they had a little problem with the compression release, so they didn't go all the way with the race, but this motor was definitely a good competitor at that race. This motor I built myself. This is a I almost said this is a 3-inch. This is a 3-inch motor with the big crank in it. This is actually the second 3-inch motor that I built. So this motor I built for the 660, and I was going the wrong direction with gearing, and I was kind of revving the motor too high. I ended up blowing that motor up. So that one's just been sitting. It's kind of just a decoration now. But this one's ready to go. It's just this one typically is on this Doodlebug frame, but I've been using this frame as more of like just to test different engine setups on. So that's why this one's on the shelf. This one is a big block. This is a 420cc Predator. This one's actually for that orange MotoVox, the roller that was sitting over there. But this motor is also like billet flywheel, billet rod, billet side cover. It has an aftermarket head on it. This one should be pretty good. It's just been sitting for a little bit. We haven't really made any progress on the orange bike. We've kind of been working on this blue bike, but pretty soon, probably within the next 2 weeks, this one will be on the orange chassis. And then probably the next couple weeks, this one will be back on the Doodlebug. So the fast motors will be back out. So I would definitely say in any form of racing, especially drag racing, power to weight ratio is a huge factor, especially once you start getting into the very competitive level where almost everyone in the racing field is running basically the same parts. So it's just a little bit like this person might do a little bit their touch, this person might do a little bit of their touch. But for the most part, everyone's running almost the same stuff as far as like motor builds and stuff. But with the cars, it's a lot more lenient on the weight due to the fact of if you weigh a little bit more, you can make the car easier to make the car lighter, or you can turn the car up and make more power out the car. With the mini bike stuff, you can't really just turn it up or like chop off like the doors and stuff like that. Like there ain't nothing there. But yeah, with the cars, it's okay to be a little heavier, but with the mini bikes, you definitely want to get as light as you can on the bike. Nowadays, like a lot of those race bikes out there, they're weighing in like the 60 pounds, like low 70 pounds, which like full bike with motor and everything on it. That's extremely light. Where most average bikes, I would say, are like 100 to 110 pounds, that's pretty average. But when you shave off that 40 pounds and you gain like 0.3 of a second, it makes a huge difference. Like in the mini bikes, 0.3 of a second is like 3 bikes out, like that's a gap. Like
yeah. So when you're not doing mini bikes and 4-wheeler stuff, you're into the car scene?
Yeah, so I've always kind of been into the cars. That was actually like my first form of like gas powered engine stuff, I would say. Since I was like 14, so what is that? That's like 13 years or something now. With the cars, I kind of be in and out of them. I've had a bunch of cars, like a bunch of like built cool cars. I personally like buying them already built, so you can just hop in them and have fun with it, enjoy it, and then whenever you get bored, sell it. Probably this next month or so, we're gonna be going pretty heavy into back into the 8th model drag racing for the cars. We do the Honda Sport front wheel drive stuff. We also do a lot of street stuff too. But yeah, that's definitely a different playing field. There's a lot more going on, like especially the type of cars that we bring out, like fiberglass, like Lexan windows, like straight cut gear cars. Like they're definitely race cars. Like it's a lot to handle. But we'll be out there pretty soon. Once this gets too cold for the mini bike stuff, the weather gets really good for the turbo cars. So yeah, we'll be out there having fun. Like at XRP, maybe Yellow Belly, probably XRP though, and Ennis for the most part. A little better on the cars, a little bit better racing out there as well.
We skipped over the GT. Yeah. Tell me about that one.
So this GT, this is actually the first Rascal GT frame that we bought. At one point, we had 3 over here. One of them went to Andrew Shaw in Iowa. And then another one, I'm not sure the dude's name. On TikTok is BSP Garage, but he's pretty consistent in the mini bike scene as well. I think he's from a little bit further down south. He came about 3 hours to pick that up. But this one, we actually found it found it in Oklahoma, went up there to pick it up as a roller. But now it has a 236 on it, or just a block. The head, we moved it over to another engine. It had a gauge warhead on it at a point. But it's a 10.5 rear tire setup. This bike is definitely gonna be a 660 bike once we get a motor back on it together. When you buy the kits, that's basically how it comes, like that. It's pretty simple, nothing crazy. Just a simple 72mm setup bike.
Nice. All right, so we went through all the bikes. And then, what's this up here on what you got going on with that?
Oh, so this is a RCF Micro. That one, we just found it on Marketplace one day. It was like an older man selling it. We pulled up and then At first we were a little skeptical about it because of how small they are, but the dude was just so nice, and then we were pretty polite to him. He ended up giving us like $100 off. He just gave it right back to us, like after we paid him for the bike. So that one is probably going to be like a Polestar picnic build. I'll probably, the color of it, that's how we got it, but I'll probably go get it powder coated. We have an engine for it right there, just a little 99cc engine. But that one is probably going to be a show build, a little bit too small for me to ride personally.
Yeah, for a lot of people to ride.
Yeah. You need to be like Devin size to ride that.
Right.
But yeah, no, that one's pretty simple. I think it's just kind of cool to have. Doesn't take up very much space. It just hangs up on the wall. Another thing to look at while you're sitting out in the garage.
And I noticed you got something else on the wall, kind of, is this four-wheeler right here. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so man, probably about 4 months ago we got into like the four-wheelers and dirt bikes and stuff. Shout out to Israel and Blanca, they're the ones that got me to buy one. Man, that's really why the mini bike stuff has kind of been slowing down a little bit. We've been having too much fun out on the streets with these, but as the race events start to come up, we'll definitely be back in full effect with the mini bikes. But yeah, no, this is just a TRX 450. Basically all stock. You just got a little graphic kit, seat, handlebars, exhaust, some wheels and tires. But yeah, no, this is definitely this is the fun one.
Yeah, I bet. I see all the videos you're doing with them.
Yeah.
Super dope.